Hi guys. Hi everybody who's joining. Just wait for one more minute for Chef to join. Hi Sanobar. Hi Neha. Hi everybody. Okay, I don't know how to pin this comment of mine. If anybody, can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, can you please give me a thumbs up? Yeah, okay, I've pinned it. Okay, so Chef Mitra is joining now. Okay, this step makes me very nervous. It's totally up to the gods and the 4G network. So I'm
I'm
waiting
here.
for Chef to join. Um,
Same
Hi,
here.
Chef.
How are you doing?
Hello. Hi. Good to see you.
Not bad.
Uh,
All
thank.
good. All set.
Very good. Thank you.
Today's been
How are
hectic.
you?
Yeah.
How was your
Yeah.
day?
But I think,
All set. All set.
yeah, I mean, the
It's
weather
been
has been
hectic.
really,
That's always a good thing.
the way
Hectic
it
is
is,
good.
like really downcast, but it's really good time to have some Indian food or Pakistani food for that matter. So we've been really busy cooking a lot of good Indian Pakistani food.
Good. That's absolutely amazing.
Okay,
We'll
sure.
just wait for another minute or so before I start your introductions. Um, I've I've written a few lines of introductions for you, but you have, you have a wealth of experience behind you. So
Sure.
eventually, I'll request
Absolutely.
you to share a little bit about your journey. Hi, everybody who's joined. I have with me here Chef Palash Mitra, who is the head chef of New Punjab Club. Those who are based in Hong Kong must know him very well already. But for those who are not in Hong Kong, uh, just New Punjab Club is a restaurant which celebrates Punjabi cuisine, and it's the only, I guess, the first restaurant in the world to be given a Michelin star. First Punjabi restaurant to be given a Michelin star in 2019, and it's retained it in 2020. So it's no mean feat, and chef has been one of the key players in getting that for the restaurant. So here we are with Chef Mitra. Chef, uh, I know you have worked for Gymkhana in London before, and you've also worked for Rosewood restaurants before. But tell me more about your journey. I know that I'm from India. I've grown up in India, and I know when I was growing up, being a chef is not the most celebrated profession, and it's. I'm sure you have had your own share of challenges. So,
Well,
how did
yeah, like you
your
said,
journey from India to Hong Kong happen?
it's not something that is widely accepted, cooking professionally, especially in India. But I think I was very, very lucky because my parents supported me 100%. You know, we had no issues about me going and cooking for other people. Because we have this perception back in India, it's like, hotel mein kaam karega. It's like, washing dishes and, things like that, which in my opinion, is not a lesser job. Washing dishes is still a very dignified job and dignified work, and people make earnings out of it. And all respect, with all due respect, it's not a low level job at all. Having said that, so yeah, going into cooking, I had all the support from my parents.
Yeah.
They actually were quite bored of having doctors and engineers in the family. They said, like, go and have an exciting life. So I said, okay, fine. As long as you're paying for my college fees and my cooking classes, it was a walk in the park going to college. But I think they worked really hard to put me through college. We come from a middle class family, so it was also a lot of uncertainty because being a doctor or an engineer means guaranteed income. For somebody like going into the hotel industry doesn't mean any guaranteed income, but they supported me
Yeah.
fully fledged, and then said, even if you made the lousiest omelette, we'll be really happy. So with all that confidence. So but that was like a long time ago. So I passed out from hotel school in 2000, and then we worked for the Oberoi's for 5 years. And then from there, I came to Hong Kong in 2005, and then left for London in 2007. The only reason I went to London was because when I was in Hong Kong, there was a real lack of quality Indian restaurants in Hong Kong. And even though I wanted to contribute to the cuisine, to Indian cuisine, to Pakistani cuisine, to South Asian cuisines that we know of in the subcontinent, there was no benchmark. There's nobody doing really good work. It was all curry houses with cheap curries, all those whatever everyone basically associates Indian Pakistani food with. I was very, very disappointed, and even though I wanted to raise the game, I had no benchmark. I couldn't go anywhere and teach myself to cook at a better level. So I took this conscious decision. So I said, let's go to London. Chef Vivek was Chef Vivek. I had worked for him at Oberoi Rajvilas, and Chef Vivek had opened the Cinnamon Club. Chef Vivek Singh of the Cinnamon Club, and he had opened
Chef
Cinnamon Club,
Vivek Singh.
and it was doing fantastic. And we tried
Yeah.
basically um, turn Indian food upside down. Back in London, I said, maybe he'll give me a chance, um, learn something from him, and then I promised myself to come back to Hong Kong to give back something really, really, really nice. In terms of Indian food, Pakistani food. And then I went off to London to work for Chef Vivek. And then somehow down the line, I just completely forgot why I had gone to London. And I just loved the place there, and I just kept working back in London. So after like 6 years with Chef Vivek, I moved to Rosewood, London, as the head chef at Scraps Bar, and then I moved to Gymkhana. And then while at Gymkhana, I met with Asim and Chris, who wanted to open this groundbreaking restaurant, Punjabi restaurant back in Hong Kong. And I suddenly realized, like, this is something that I always wanted to do. And after lots of meetings, I was really not convinced if Hong Kong would be ready for, like, if Hong Kong was the next best step for me. But after a lot of discussions, meeting them a lot of times, and finally took the jump. And then
Yeah.
Asim and Chris, they had already planned a lot of things. They had planned quite deeply about New Punjab Club, be it the cuisine, be it the way it's going to be presented, in the sense like, what's the food story is going to be. So there was a lot of work that had already been done. And then when I joined the ship, and then we opened in 7th,
Yeah.
14th of August. During was the first day we opened the New Punjab Club, and it incidentally also the Independence Day for Pakistan. Next day was India's Independence Day, 15th of August. So it was very, very symbolic, kind of like, when we
Pakistan. Yeah.
opened, the dates are
India.
very symbolic.
Yeah.
And that is how it all began. It's a long story, a lot of water under the bridge.
Yes, and I have to say, I moved to Hong Kong in 2011, and I have to say that New Punjab Club has really raised the bar for South Asian food in Hong Kong. I mean, there was nothing like that before. But can I also ask you quickly, how do you compare the food scene in Hong Kong, Indian food, South Asian food scene in Hong Kong, vis-a-vis London? I know London is very celebrated for Indian food, for South Asian
And a
food.
totally different
How do you
landscape.
compare that from
The
Hong Kong?
produce is also a lot different back in London. Hong Kong, you have to get in a lot of stuff at the moment because of all the restrictions. You're struggling, but even like a year back, 2 years back, I think it's definitely going to a positive direction where it's not just about cheap eats. It's just not about simple rustic fare that you go in at the end of a binge drinking session, or you go in late nights, or you only take your mother-in-laws to. You go there to be seen. You go there because you want to enjoy. You want to explore the different levels of this cuisine that this cuisine can offer, right? So I think the trend is very, very positive. We saw, and I think um, there's a lot of other restaurants that are also opening up on the similar genre. Keeping in mind it's more product centric. It's more technique based. It's more regional specific, as opposed to an entire continent just bunched together as curry, or an entire continent bunched together as Indian food. I think even within black sheep restaurants, even within Hong Kong, you see Hotel Colombo specializes in Sri Lankan food, and we have
Yeah.
other Indian places which opened up. Some of them are already closed. We're still here. No surprises. But but I think the trend is really, really positive. There's
Absolutely.
needs to
Yeah.
be, I
Yeah.
think, in my opinion, there needs to be a lot more acceptance. Why we're getting there. It's still far from being London, where people know about it. They,
Yeah.
they discuss it. They are knowledgeable about it. They can decide between a good place and a bad place. They want to go to some place multiple times. So yeah, I think another couple of years,
Yeah.
and then everybody just full focus down, heads down, and focus on uplifting the cuisine and doing something positive, doing something meaningful for the cuisine. Then I think we would be kind of in a similar place to London or New
Yeah.
York for that matter.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. So, New Punjab Club positions itself as a Punjabi restaurant. It celebrates Punjabi cuisine. Um a lot of people in Hong Kong, as you said, are not very, very well aware about the nuances of the South Asian cuisine. So, how do you explain it to the layman? How is a Punjabi cuisine is it different from the regular South Asian affair that we are used to? How different
Punjabi
it
food
is
is
for
a lot
people who have
more
not tasted the
basic,
food
it's a
at
lot
New
more
Punjab
rustic.
Club?
So this cuisine encompasses a lot of
Yeah.
some of the regions from Pakistan and some of the regions from India vis-a-vis Punjab. So a similar kind of cuisine, what other people know. So people know it as Northwest Frontier cuisine. A lot of places like the Bukhara, Dampokta, back in the ITS hotels, they do Punjabi. They do this kind of similar food. Punjabi cuisine in Punjab Club, it is a lot more tandoor centric. So we've got like two really good tandoors, and a lot of the food is focused around these tandoori ovens. So we deal with a lot of kebabs, like we do a lot of tikkas, seekh kebabs, chicken tikkas, and things like that. But in general, Pakistani food, Punjabi food, like we like to call it, is like a very, very simple fare. But here at the Punjab Club, we use a lot of good quality produce, good quality proteins, and then obviously we have our own techniques, things
Yeah.
like brining and then smoking, slow cooking, braising. All those things go towards making the food that we enjoy at the Punjab Club. But again, yeah, like I said, it's obviously the flavors are a lot more simpler. The ingredient profile is quite singular in the sense, like we don't have any garam masala in the kitchen. So a lot of places, when you taste food, 1 spoon, 2 spoon, 3 spoons later, all the taste stays the same, because then you keep adding all the same spices. I mean, every dish tends to have jeera, or every
Absolutely.
dish tends to have cumin, garam
Yeah.
masala, and all that stuff. But here at Punjab, we've made a very conscious decision
Yeah.
to keep the profile of the spices and the flavorings quite minimal, in the sense, like for example, if you're doing the lamb chops, which is one of our most popular dishes, it is just got it's the lamb's own flavor, plus just a bit of fenugreek and just a touch of ginger and garlic, and that's it. There's no garam masala, no jeera, no cardamoms, and all that stuff. Like even for the chicken tikka angar, it's predominantly again um, uh, singular flavors like just the cumin, and then you taste the chicken. For the fish, it's just dill leaves,
Yeah.
carom seeds, and then the fish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you eat these dishes, you can actually easily distinguish the various
Yeah.
flavors, because it's not too complex. I mean, it's not a huge myriad of flavors and taste that's hitting your palate. You can actually understand, okay, this is the fish, and then this is dill that's coming through, and then this is lemon that's coming through, and then it makes as an enjoyable experience. You can actually taste all the flavors, and they combine really well together without getting a very complex impact, and that
Yeah.
makes it more enjoyable, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And I think that works for us. So basically, when you order the lamb chops, you taste the lamb. You don't taste the garam masala. When you order the fish, you taste the fish. Don't taste the other spices, which is like So that is what we've done to make sure like people enjoy the food, as opposed to
Yeah.
having everything taste the same. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's why the quality of
yeah, and
ingredients that you
somehow,
use matters so much. The quality of protein that you use matters
yeah,
so
it's
much,
basically, yeah, that's what it
right?
is. Like
It's not
so
just the spices
when
that
you're
dominate
doing
everything.
for example, even if you're doing a curry,
Yeah.
like for example, which then there's no point in adding a lot of the spices.
Yeah.
Traditionally, what used to happen is probably to mask the low quality of the proteins and the vegetables. You use a lot of seasonings and you use a lot of spices, so real flavors don't come
Yes.
through, and that makes it really complex, and people feel heavy after
Yeah.
eating, and then everything tastes the same. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that is what we did, a conscious decision to keep the flavors simple and separate.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Chef, this conversation will be incomplete if I do not pick your brains about the journey of New Punjab Club to getting a Michelin star rating. So, if you could share a
So
few
first of
things
all,
which come to mind,
it's not individual
how did you
performance
make
at
it
all.
happen?
It takes a team, and then it's there's a lot of aspects. I mean, I know
Absolutely.
the whole
Yeah.
focus is a lot of focus, like almost 60-80% of the focus is on the food, but to get the food out and present it at its best possible um,
Yeah.
state is the floor is responsible. I mean, you have to have a lot of people working, not only the guys cooking in the kitchen, but also on the floor, serving the food, selecting the right wine, and also guys who work on the outer periphery, like the communications department, who's doing the promotions, who's communicating with the media, who's speaking to the guests, taking in bookings. So it is a completely team effort, and then everything needs to work like clockwork. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Everybody needs to think the same. They need to dream the same. I mean, you can't have different agendas. Everybody needs to have the same agenda. But in terms of New Punjab Club, like one of I think main
Yeah.
keys going towards gaining the Michelin star was like the extensive research which Asim and Chris did, and then also sticking to our food philosophy of doing only a particular region and doing it to the best of our ability. I mean, we didn't try to do a lot of things. We just did a very little, small amount of things, but we made sure those were the best products coming out of the kitchen and going to the guests. Making a conscious decision of keeping things really local, keeping things really regional, and most importantly, uh, keeping it authentic, true to its roots. I mean, it's not about micropressed leaves. It's not about herbs and flowers on the plate. It's not about fancy cooking techniques. It's not about taking curry and dipping it in a brush and throwing it onto the
Yeah.
plate so that it makes an abstract design. Uh, it's just a lot about making sure exactly authentic, but
Absolutely.
also making sure you know what you're doing. It's not about it's
Authentic.
it needs to come across as something that you have been doing for a long, long time, and the food uh, uh, needs to give out that feeling that it's been it's been mastered on. Like I mean, the expertise and the thought behind the food should come through. There should be a particular
Yeah.
line
Yes.
of approach and
Shows. Yeah.
execution.
Yeah.
I can't
Mm.
things, even small simple things, like we got when we have the charts, we use Indian nimbu as opposed to the Spanish lemons or the Italian lemons and things like that. And then when we have onions, we use the Indian
Mm.
onions, the Nasic onions, as opposed to the Spanish onions or the French onions and things like that. So these small things made a huge difference, because it takes it closer
Yeah.
to home.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you have a nimbu, well, it's not as. And then
Yeah.
also, if you see, like when we
Yeah.
had the Michelin star, there was no caviar on the menu. There was no foie gras on the menu. There's none of the fancy, expensive stuff.
Mm.
It's not about fancy stuff. It's not about expensive
Yeah.
stuff. It's not about showy,
Yes.
extravagant stuff. It's
Yeah.
about basically
Yeah.
making sure.
Yeah. And if I can take the liberty to say that New Punjab Club is not about
Yeah,
westernizing, quote unquote, or continentalizing authentic Punjabi cuisine, right?
yeah, we should.
You are showcasing it in its
Yeah, I
beauty and
mean,
its
we haven't borrowed
originality, and that's
anything.
what makes it stand
We
out.
haven't borrowed any superficial or any aesthetic uh, things from Western cuisine
Yeah.
or from any other cuisine. It is what it is. If you get a lamb chop, it's going to come as a lamb chop. It's going
Yeah.
to come with your onions, and then it's
It,
going to come with your aloo chokha. That's what it's going to be. But it's
yeah.
just it is very rustic. It's very kind of in your
Yeah.
face.
Absolutely.
Leave it or take it. That kind of an approach for when we came with the food. right? And I think that took us through
Yeah.
because you could see that, like, we were extremely
Yeah.
confident, extremely proud of the product which you
Yes.
have in front of you. And then, then people catch on to the
Yeah.
narrative, right? Once you stick to your guns and then once you say, this is how it is and this is how we're going to do it, and then you do it beautifully, you do it well thought out, in a way that is well thought out, and it's
Yeah.
like, executed flawlessly, and then people go with it. If you want to do something and then you put in your point of view,
Yeah.
but then you're not able to back it up
Yeah.
with proper substance, that is when things go a little haywire. But fortunately
Yeah.
for us, the team stuck together. Like, we had extremely good vision from Chris and Asim. And we just, and then it followed through. Things fell in place,
Yeah.
and that's that. I mean, we were very surprised that it came so soon within 18 months. It wasn't even actually 18 months; it was 16 months, and that is kind of it was very wonderful. We actually didn't even know till the
Yeah.
day we had the Michelin star. We actually thought when Michelin they called us, we thought it was a joke. We thought, what a cruel joke. Yeah, yeah. We thought it was like, this is a very cruel joke. Why are they joking on us? It's like, so we hardly opened, and
That's
and they said, oh,
interesting.
you need to be at the award ceremony because you've got a star, and we didn't believe it. And then when they called us, like, we got so excited, they didn't take down any details of who's calling, where they're calling from, any phone number, and that's it. And the person who took the phone call was so excited. And then after he put the phone down, and we
Yeah.
were like running around, like, is it true? And we were making calls to make sure, to find out, is it true? How does it happen? And all that stuff. But then but then no, no, yeah, it is all
So
surprise. We
basically,
never
when they
knew who
came for the
came.
review, nobody knew about
Apparently,
it.
they
It
come
was
three
all
or
a
four
surprise, and it
times,
was
or maybe I don't know how many times they came. But we could. That is also one of the most important things is consistency. So you have to be consistent with what you do. Like, we have to be consistent with the menu, with the
yeah,
produce. Every food product, every food
absolutely.
item that's
Yeah.
coming out has to be consistent for every guest. Be it a table of one, or table of two, or a table of eight, doesn't matter. Everybody needs to have the same experience. And I think even with a
Yeah.
really busy restaurant, we had really big tables, and it got really boisterous. And so getting a Michelin star was like a big, big, big surprise because every other place, if you see, all other places will have small restaurants with 30, 35 seats, maximum table of four. There'll be like really demure. There'll be like a
Yeah.
lot of coordinated movements and things like that. But Nippon Chapel is totally opposite. Now you come here and you see, oh, it's a loud place, it's a boisterous place. There's music going on, people laughing, chatting, a lot of yelling going around, all the stuff. And then we still managed to get it. So it was a big surprise. We didn't,
Yeah.
like I said before, like, we haven't used any fancy items at all. Um, so it was really good. And so only on the day when we went to Macau,
Mm.
at that time we found out we had actually won. And it was a big, big surprise. It was a very emotional day for everybody. People were very, very happy. Yeah.
Wow. I can imagine. It was very well deserved, and it makes all us South Asians very proud. And that authentic South Asian food is so well accepted and appreciated.
Yeah.
I know, Chef, we have something very exciting planned for the second half of this live. But I have one last question before we get into that. These are very challenging times for hospitality in general, for restaurant business also, and it's demanding us to think out of the box. So, how is New Punjab Club adapting its operations to meet the
Well,
needs of
first of
their
all, we have to
customers
follow
in
the
these
regulations.
challenging times?
So we obviously need to strictly adhere
Yeah.
to regulation times. Like, we cannot serve any more food after 6 o'clock in the evening, and before 5 o'clock in the mornings. But we're open for lunch at the moment. But fortunately, I mean, for a limited time, New Punjab Club is also doing deliveries. So we are on Flagship Restaurants Go Delivers website. You can
Yeah.
download the app on Apple. It says Flagship Go Delivers. So we are on that. So we can, and then
Okay.
anybody who wants to order, we open for takeaways and deliveries to certain regions for a limited time only. Like, saying, and once the restaurant opens up operations, we'll see how it goes. But at the moment, the criteria for us and Chris, for the management, for Flagship Restaurants, is to keep everybody safe. Whoever is working, to keep them safe. That is their primary objective, keeping our customers safe, and then making sure we follow through with the regulations, be it sanitizing or social distancing, operational hours, health and hygiene practices. So yeah, that's what it is, and we take each day as it comes, But then, Black Sheep Restaurants has
Good.
written the COVID handbook that has gone
Yeah,
viral all over the world. People as this has been downloaded like 5,000 times or more and
it
translated into
has.
18 languages
Yes.
already. So, yeah, we are doing whatever we're doing to stay ahead of the curve. Um,
Yeah.
I think Asim and Chris have led from the front, and we'll see how it
Yes.
goes.
And yeah. I've myself, I've personally ordered from the Go Restaurants app, and it's amazing. I mean, the amount of follow up and the amount of cross checking that people do on the other end is
Yeah, this
amazing,
is the
and it's
infrastructure that
really
also helped
refreshing
us
to
a
see
lot.
that kind
This
of
is what I was
service
mentioning
in
when
these
there's people
times.
on the
So
upper
I
periphery
just wanted
who
to
were not
say
on the
that.
floor per se, but
Yeah,
who are there to support these operations, and they are a huge part of the team. And something like a delivery depends
yeah,
extensively on logistics, and the logistics are manned by people. So there are people who are not in the scenes at all,
yeah,
who never get recognized, but they have to, they do this amazing job of getting the food delivered to someone's doorsteps or on the table. And so that is why it is very important. We realize that it's a team effort, and then as long as we celebrate that diversity and that unity,
yeah.
we keep doing good work.
Absolutely. Well, Chef, thank you so much for answering those questions. We'll see if people have more questions, and if we have time left, we can take them at the end of our recipe sharing session. I'm very excited to watch you
Sure.
cook, to go behind the scenes and see what you have for us. So, if you're ready, let's
Yeah.
get going. Chef is making scallop bhel puri with wild rice puffs.
Okay,
So,
I
I
have
have
there's a
my
small
pen
change.
and my
I
notepad
couldn't get the
ready
wild rice
to take
because
notes.
it's really hard in the market with all the things going on. But it's still going to be
Okay.
really exciting.
Okay.
We have normal muri,
Okay.
like we call it. We have the normal
Yes,
mambra, and then we also have
absolutely.
poha, and then of course we have scallops. So
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And that's what
You
chefs
have
do
to be a
all
bit.
the time. We're always problem
You
solving on
have
the
to
field.
improvise
So,
sometimes. This is one of the things
so
as well. With
it's,
COVID,
I'm sure.
a lot of our suppliers have stopped delivering because of the logistic
Yes.
issues. So that is one of the challenges, is to
Yeah,
maintain that consistency even with varied. So we have to cut down
yeah,
the menu. So make sure, people still get the best of the Punjabi food that we are so well known for. So these are the things. These are ongoing things.
yeah,
You have to take it in your stride with a pinch of
yeah,
salt some days, and then how that is how you go forward.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. I don't know
And
if the kitchen
hats
is
off to
ready.
that
We
spirit.
actually, if you
All
believe
right.
me, we
So
still have
let's get
service going
going.
on in the restaurant. This actually people, you see people still, we still have people
Okay.
dining. So, uh, yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, that's good to see. That's a great thing to see.
I don't know how to, but yeah. So this is the kitchen. Um, we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do
Okay.
scallop bhel puri. So this is all the stuff that we have here. So we have poha,
Yes.
we have salli, we
Yeah.
have the masala, we have some mamra. We Bengalis call it muri. Then we have sev. Um, then we have all these different things
Yes.
which we're going to add to the bhel puri. So we have boiled chickpeas, cucumber, green chili, lemon, coriander. We have some boiled potatoes, some French radish, some corn, which is in season at the moment. We also have some dill. And then this is all of this is for the
Wow.
scallops.
Okay.
We go to do an Amritsari style scallops, and then we're going to serve it with the bhel puri.
Nice.
Yeah, we are excited too. We
Okay.
have.
It sounds very, very exciting. Okay.
Yeah, so what we have here is we
So
managed to
are
get
we
some
going
scallops
to
from the shell
marinate the
here.
scallops, or
So
how does that work?
so these are queenie scallops. So basically, this is how a scallops looks in a shell. So we have
Wow.
the skirt, and then we have the tamale. So anybody who's doing scallops, if you manage to find it on the shell, So just what you need to do is just peel it off, pare it off like this.
Okay.
Basically trim it.
Wow.
So I have got
Yes.
these the queen scallops. Um, just a handful of them is enough for. So we're going to make maybe
Yeah.
approximately 2 servings.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this as quick as possible. So what we need to do is pat pat fry the
Okay.
scallops like so, and then we need to season.
Scallop. Yeah. Okay.
First of all, what we have here, yeah, salt, some turmeric
Salt.
powder, uh, chili powder, and then a touch of
Yeah.
this is basically a paste made of ginger, garlic, and green chilies. Add it in there. Then
Okay. Yeah.
some rice flour, some chickpea flour, and some the rice flour is going to give that the crispiness, and
Interesting.
the chickpea
Okay.
flour is going to, yeah, crispiness, and the
Yeah.
chickpeas is going to bind it all together.
Crispiness. Okay.
Some lemon juice to season.
Mm. So, do the scallops need to be
Just follow
marinated
the
in
same process
advance,
because
or
the
is it
scallop
just
is very
exactly the
tender meat.
process that you follow
If you don't need to
to
marinate
make
it
it?
for too long because
Okay.
if you
Okay.
marinate it for too long, then it lose all the lose a lot of moisture, and then basically there's no point in doing that, right? And then if the
Okay.
scallops are fresh and the meat is tender, you only do the seasoning to make it taste a little bit
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
Again, like I said, there's
Yeah.
not much of excessive seasoning. Very basic seasoning like salt, sugar, turmeric, and chili. Because again, obviously, it's Amritsari. But I've kept it slightly spiced.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you need to do is heat some oil. You can do it in a
Okay.
pan. Keep it at 170 degrees and then just deep
Yeah.
fry them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do it in small batches because if you do a lot of it, then the temperature of the oil goes down, and then it doesn't cook properly, and then you'll end up with soggy scallops.
Ah, that's a great tip. Oh, that's a great tip.
So while the scallops are so they're very
I've
again
never
very
cooked
simple
scallops
things, very
before, so
simple
this
to
is
cook.
very
There's
interesting for me.
very tender meat. Uh,
Yeah.
so they are very
Yeah.
lightly spiced because you want again to taste the scallops. So there's a little bit of crunch. You get this the masala will give you a crunch a bit.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do next is mix up the bhel puri. So what we have here,
Mm-hmm.
do some mamra here. We call it muri puff rice basically. Then we also have some chide. It's like poha,
Yeah.
but and then yeah, this is like dry roasted. This is puff rice
Is
that's
that
been dry
fried?
roasted. So just leave it in a dead oven for
Dry
maybe
roasted.
overnight at 70 degrees, and next
Okay.
morning it will be nice and crispy. Um, then we add some save into it. This is the new Punjab Club version of the chaat masala. That is why we call it a chaat.
Ah, I could.
Yeah, this is basically
I was going to ask you because
we
it
make it
doesn't
in
look
house. I
like the
mean, it's dry
regular
mango
chaat
powder.
masala, and it has a
It's got
different
kasuri
color.
methi, and it's got a little bit of sugar, chili powder,
Mm-hmm.
salt, sugar, and a touch of cardamom powder. And then
Mm-hmm.
we add all of these stuff which we have here.
Interesting.
I'm just going to add a bit of corn because it's like it's going to be rainy season soon. Even here back in
Mm-hmm.
India, corn is really good that time. And I like cucumber a lot, so lots of cucumber
Yeah.
because again cucumber and fish go really well. So with the scallops, the cucumber will taste really good. Some spring onions here for a touch of freshness. You know, and then because if you don't want scallops, I'm just going to make it a bit more wholesome. So there's some kala chana here in case you don't want to. If you want to skip the scallops, you can do it with
That's a
anything else as well.
very,
You can do it. You can
yeah.
substitute the scallops with chicken or shrimps or little pieces of duck, fish if
Mm-hmm.
you have it, or even onion pakoras for that matter. You can do that. I've got some little bit of boiled potatoes, uh,
Oh, yes, of
green chili
course.
because we like it spicy. That was also one of those things that we did consciously did for New Punjab Club. Is I'm just going back to the interview which we did. Um, so even with the spicing level, we made sure it's exactly how
Yeah.
it's supposed to be had. You know what I mean? Like if somebody comes and asks us for a really, really, really very spicy kebab, we can't do it. Like we say we rather not. And then if somebody says, "Oh, I don't want any spice," or "I don't want any onions," or "I don't want garlic," and all that stuff, from the day one, we have consistently said, no, we cannot do it. We basically, even though we don't want to be inhospitable, I don't want to be inhospitable, but tailor making stuff
Yeah.
makes a bit of compromise and then takes away from the consistency. So, I mean, that is one thing we have done is this is the way we want you to have it. Kindly
Yeah.
enjoy it exactly the same way. Um, and I think that has played a key part in making sure the quality has been
Yeah.
consistent. So nobody can say I had the lamb chops like this and I had the lamb chop like this. If they had the lamb chops, we can guarantee it was the same on day one as it is on day 900. Right? We've been open 3 years now, so that is one of the major things.
Yeah.
So now with this thing, yeah,
Okay.
sure,
That actually brings me to another question if we have time to answer one question. Because typically what happens with at least Indian and South Asian restaurants is outside of India,
yeah,
restaurants try to curate the menu or create the menu around a Western palate, which I've seen is not the case with, I mean, it's typically not the case. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong with Punjab Club. So how do you kind of balance and make sure that your meals are equally enjoyable by Indian palate, South Asian palate, and Western palate,
yeah.
because
We have
it's
our
a very
challenges.
very
It's not like
tightrope to
everything
walk,
has been
as
really
far as
easy
I
going.
understand that.
Initially, a lot of people said this is not Punjabi food. You don't serve.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some Punjabis, Indians don't eat beef, and we don't eat so less spicy or more spicy and things like that. And then we always keep going back to the same rhetoric that first of all it's like Punjabi food. So there's people in India who still eat beef, and there's people in Pakistan who eat beef. So you have to think more encompassingly. We took that
Yeah.
more holistic approach towards what people
Yeah.
can eat and should eat or what shouldn't eat.
Mm.
But when it comes to that,
Mm.
so again the training comes in a bit. This is
Mm-hmm.
where the front of the house play a major role. They need to be equally convinced that what the food coming out is the best that the guest can possibly have, right? So and that is how they need to have that confidence in the food, and they need to be able to because these are the people who are going to go sell
Yeah.
your food. They are your faces, right? If then so we have to do extensive training, make sure they are one and they
Yeah.
think exactly the same as the chef does. And this is where the teamwork comes in, the training comes in. So we were able to, like I said, we were
Mm-hmm.
able to stick to our own rhetoric, this is possibly the best way to have it given the circumstances. So and then people went along with it
Yeah.
and they realized and they enjoyed it a lot and then
Mm.
word spread and then now we never have any of those issues I don't eat garlic or I don't eat ginger. Can you make me a garlic naan without garlic or can you make me a lassi without yogurt? Those kind of things never come to us. But yeah, and because we from the yes, I mean it sounds
You
funny, but
okay?
you'll be surprised with the kind of requests that we get. Like, for,
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not surprised at all.
yeah. So
I have
yeah. So
I
that is
have
why
been around people
we
like
just
that,
have that
so I'm
belief
not
that
surprised at all.
what we are doing is also as equally good as what you may have had or you're going to have in the future. But try this, give us a chance, and then once you get the chance, you just go all guns out, right?
Yeah,
And then you've got the chance. You need to
yeah,
blow them out of the water. You have to blow their socks off, and that we have been able to do that consistently, and I think that is one of the reasons why we are where we
yeah,
are at the moment. And then also one
yeah.
of the things that the food which we do at New Punjab Club, it travels really well, right?
Mm,
So that is also helping us really to be, uh,
okay.
keep our heads above water with all the given regulations which we have, like no, not able to dine in. So the food, even though like the food
Mm,
is kind of
mm,
timeless, it also doesn't depend
yeah,
on beautiful plating, like I said before, right? It travels well, even if you have it at home. It's all about the flavors and the textures, and the impact is still
yeah.
100% when you have it in a delivery, and that is working really well
Mm,
for us. Some food, um, once put in a box and traveling, like once it travels, loses a lot of its charm. Then you actually have to you actually have to put in your own
yeah,
effort to make the food
yeah.
look nice, and you have to. I've seen some deliveries going out from some places where the customers actually have to cook it before they can eat it. I mean, that again is a different kind of experience, but then that kind of doesn't fall through with the idea of a home delivery, home takeaway, right? You should be able to eat it straight away out of a box. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
our kind of food
yeah, yeah.
also is
Yes.
also a very strong point in
Mm,
these circumstances. Going back to the bhel puri, so we've mixed up all of this.
yeah,
Um, Again, you see,
yeah. Absolutely.
I've kept it very
Yes.
light in the sense like there's not excess of chilies or things like that. It's not looking overly dark or overly red or overly
Yeah,
green. Um,
yeah. And I know, chef, that I'm sure, like all restaurants, every restaurant have their own set of suppliers. But which is your, if you have to
At the
go and
moment,
shop
I'm
at the
staying
wet
as far
market,
away from
which
the
is
wet
your
market as
favorite wet
possible
market to shop at?
because the people tell me that's where the virus is. But under normal circumstances, uh,
Absolutely. I know.
I would
Yes.
the Saingpur
Yes.
market very close by to New Punjab Club. We used to go there a lot. Uh, Before we used to get our chickens from there for the Murti Kangar,
Yeah.
and then we used to our cobia comes from the South China Sea. So we go to the Saingpur wet
Okay.
market a lot. We used to. But at the moment, it's all very restricted. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
very, very careful about what was going on. But yeah, given the chance and the opportunity, I love to go to
Yeah.
the Sangpur market or the North
Yeah.
Point market. Also has a lot
Yeah.
of variety of stuff. Plus, the Sangpur market has got a huge amount of seafood. The Saikung market.
Okay.
Whenever we have a chance, we go to Saikung,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
amount of seafood there is the freshness and the variety is mind-boggling. Um, so I saw, yeah, in Saikung. So that is where we go usually.
In Sai Kung.
So this is almost done.
Okay.
So mix all the ingredients together.
Mm-hmm. 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 I think there is a lag in the sound for some reason. I don't know if it's my end or at your end. Okay, finally we have some sound. There was a lag in between. I couldn't hear you. But yeah, I could see everything in slow motion. It's again slow motion. Mm. I think there was some error. Uh, let's see if Chef can join again. The network is not really cooperating at the moment. Um, so we lost Chef at the moment.
Sorry, this was my bad as well.
Um,
We've lost so many viewers.
yeah,
Like,
there's
we've got
something
like
up.
only
I
five
don't know,
people
maybe
viewing.
at my end.
But anyways, like, thank you for whoever is still viewing.
Okay.
You know,
Not at
so we
all,
just want to
and we'll
quickly
always
finish off.
have this on the feeds for people to watch. Hi, Chef.
So just it's almost close to
Uh,
where it needs to be.
okay.
We just going to add some sliced radish. I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't resist doing the chefy thing,
Oh,
with the
that's an
microplane
interesting
and some
idea.
French radish and all that stuff. But again, seafood and radish is a good combination. It also gives that because mustard and seafood, all these flavor combinations work really well. So this is one of the things. Also, I realized while I was like cooking, you don't really need to
Hmm.
have certain products to make get certain flavors out of your dish. You know what I mean? Like you said, when you, to the answer to your previous question, where you said how
Mm-hmm.
do you balance all the palettes? It's
Yeah.
also about looking at alternatives. Like for example, uh, like
Yeah.
mustard is a good combination, but it just does mustard flavor. It necessarily doesn't need to come from mustard oil or mustard seeds. There's a lot of other stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
for example this radish is also mustardy. Then you have things like the nasturtiums, which is also mustardy, right? So we can always play around with
Ah,
flavors, and then once you play around with flavors, and then
wow.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, these are the kind of
but
tips
this is
only
how
a
we
chef
this
can
is
give
how
us. I mean, we
we
could never
make sure,
think
like
about these
people are
things
not
on our
disappointed
own.
with the food, because there's always something for someone, like something for everybody. So now this is almost so ready. So radish goes in
Yeah.
there. All you need to do is like I can tell you, Asmita, this is smelling really delicious, um, and and I'm resisting
I can
this huge
actually
huge
smell
urge
it
of
with my eyes.
eating it right away.
I'm
But
hungry.
so look, it's like it's nice and simple. It's colorful as well, but you have something.
Okay.
Um, well, amazing.
I don't live very
I'll
far
save
from
this
here.
for
I can
you.
actually
And
join
I
you
don't know how
after
well
this
it.
session
Now,
for
this
a
is one thing that might not travel very
short.
well with all my big talk about food traveling. Well, but this thing, but that is why this is not on the takeaway menu. But all the stuff which is there on the menu is
Yeah, that's true.
can really
Yeah.
enjoy at home. So these things, like I was saying, like when we have Indian nimbus and stuff like that. So again, very simple. I mean, so you have bhel puri with your
Yeah.
nimbu and stuff like that. No, not fuss. It's like it's not fussy, and it's like probably something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But that's the thing about food.
yeah,
Sometimes, simple is the best.
and
When
then see,
people
so
start
this is like
overcomplicating
I'm just
things
going to add a
is
little bit
when
of
things sometimes go
this
wrong.
this
Sometimes.
nasturtium leaves here. So these Yeah, these again, like
Coriander.
these give a very nice
Oh, nasty. Okay.
vegetal touch. But also, same time, they're very mustardy, right? So they go really well with the scallop, with the seafood. Um, so it all
Okay.
balances out really well together. So this is it, your scallop bel puri with, and then
And
if
we
you
are
want to do it
set.
without the scallop, obviously just take off the scallops and
Wow.
do it with something else. I don't know. Maybe you
Whew.
can use deep fried jackfruit. Yeah, onion bhaji, or if you have
Like you
jackfruit,
said,
raw
onion
jackfruit,
budgers
you
or
deep fry it, or if you have banana.
okay.
So if you have a
Yeah.
raw banana, you boil it and you deep fry it. That again is very tasty.
Yeah.
You could substitute with avocado. You know, yeah, and everything else remains the same. Even
And everything else
exactly.
remains the same,
Um,
right? How you
and then
coat
it's
it with
ready to
basin
go.
and rice flour. Okay.
And there you go. It's your scallop bel puri. Uh,
Awesome.
nice and easy.
That's super amazing. And it's quick and it's
Yeah, I mean,
wholesome and it's so many flavors happening
thank you so
together.
much. I mean, it's like
And
very
I've
simple
learned so
flavors
many new
again. Like,
things today
I'm
from
pretty
you.
sure when you eat this, you're going to first taste the scallops and then from the puff. It's not going to be like, uh, you're trying to figure out what's that,
Yeah.
what's this. It's all very
Yeah.
uh, singular flavors, but again, they bind really well together. They work well
Yeah.
together. Um, and that's that. And easy as well. Yeah, anybody could do it. I mean,
Yeah. And so
uh,
easy.
that's the best part of home cooking. Like, you should be able to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't need to be rocket science. Here at New Punjab Club, we're not trying to
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just trying to make sense of what our forefathers ate, and we're just trying to do the best possible way. That's it. And then hopefully,
And you're doing such a great job that the world loves it. Can't wait for things to get back to normal. And I've been to Punjab Club once. Can't wait to
definitely.
go back and enjoy the whole experience once again. I think Instagram has a this thing on probably after an
Okay.
hour they disconnects on its own. This happened to me in my last live. So if in case that happens, let me just say
Okay.
a huge thank you for taking out the time. I know you're very busy. A lot goes on behind the
Thank you. Thank you
scenes,
so much
and
for.
thank you so much for taking out time. And if anybody has any questions for Chef, please feel free to ask. Uh,
Yeah, come on,
I
guys,
think
ask
there
some
was
questions.
something
I
in the
mean, come on,
beginning.
have some fun.
Uh,
It's not necessary. I'm going to answer because
I think
yeah, I think
I
it's a
asked a
very
lot of
simple.
questions in the beginning, so probably
For my
most
kind
of
of thing is
them.
like, need to keep things simple, and that's about it. And then, like one of the questions that you said about, like, how do you manage expectations?
Yeah,
One of the things which you also, if you notice on the menu, is like it's very small. It's not a huge, it's not a huge
yeah,
menu, right? Where it's like, it's well curated. There's only certain amounts of things
yeah,
coming out of the tandoor. There's only a little bit of
yeah,
what we call the dates and the sabzis. There's a few breads and a few nashtas, and that's it. You don't need to have a whole amount of things. You can choose a couple of things, and then you really
mm,
have a good time. But then you come back again for the rest of the stuff. You come back again for the rest of the stuff. But then, so that is what every time, every dish you have should be able to make an impact in a positive way, and that's that. I mean, you really don't need to do
yeah,
a whole lot of things uh, to impress
yeah,
people. You just keep it simple, but put some thought into it. Why, where, when, all those things come into play, uh, and that's it.
yeah.
Job done.
Okay. Um, uh, yeah, it's you make it sound very easy, but because I have worked in hospitality, I was not in the kitchens, but I have a lot of friends who
I
are
mean, yeah,
chefs,
I know.
so I know it's not easy at all.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, when you have
it's
to
not
make it
easy,
all
but I
happen.
don't let I mean, you shouldn't let all these things weigh upon you, and otherwise, where's the fun? If I came into cooking, it's for the fun of it. All these things is going to happen. You're going to get busy. You're going to get stressed. There's no point in sinking with it. You just have to make sure you have fun doing it. Take a step back if it's becoming too
Mm,
overwhelming, and this is in general for everybody, even for all the chefs out there who I don't know how many of you watching, maybe five, six, but I mean, it's very important that you don't. If you feel really pressured, you take a step back. You don't have to. It's not. life is not going to end just like that. You know, there's so many other more important things.
Mm.
Everything else falls in place. You know, I mean, that's what I do. You know, I don't let all this. I don't take this thing very seriously, to be very honest. You know, you can't just have a few bad comments or like, you know, there's so many people out there who've got really big opinions and they've got even bigger Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
So they'll go out and either they'll praise you to the sky or they'll just try to squash you and then bring you down with one bad review. You left worthless. I don't, you know, those things. No one should take any of those things very,
Yeah.
very seriously. You know, I mean, these are people doing their jobs. They're doing it to earn their money, right? And we are doing this to earn our money, right? So there is,
Yeah.
you know, you just go on doing
Yeah.
all of these things, right? And even if I wanted to
Yeah.
have an opinion,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. And end of the day, we are all humans, yeah, and we
yeah,
have
food
all
is something so
different opinions.
personal.
It's hard to kind of, especially
Yeah,
with
and food,
food,
food
it's
is
very
something so
hard to kind
personal.
of
Like,
make
you know, no
something
one
which
person can have the
appeals.
same
Yeah.
opinion about the same
Yeah.
thing, right? So there's bound to be differences. It's unfortunate sometimes people go and let out their frustrations or their version of the story online, and many people lap it up. And then it's like a one-sided thing. Like, you know, there's nobody goes and asks what happened. Like, you know, why is like that? You know, they'll just take up the thing and say,
Yeah.
oh, this food was like this, the food was rubbish, or service was bad, and things like that. But you need to learn the whole story. That is why I don't take any stress over all these kind of reviews or
Yeah.
awards or judgments or all these things like that. I just do my thing, and
Yeah.
I encourage other chefs to do, young cooks to do, just do your thing. You know, there's going to be people with hundred of opinions. They're going to try to put their opinions on you. Tough luck, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, just do your thing. That's it.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And if you start getting
Yeah,
affected, then your work gets
yeah. I
affected
mean,
and the
there's
kind of food that you
Instagram has this
serve gets
beautiful thing
affected.
about, you know,
So obviously, you
disable
cannot let
comments.
that
Just
happen.
get off Instagram. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
half of it is like all fake, right? You know, I mean, like 80% of it is fake. So you know, don't.
Yeah. And exactly, it's just empowering sometimes the wrong kind of
Yeah,
people as well, unfortunately, and we just have to keep that in mind as well. It's
yeah. I
not
mean, not everybody is
always
expert. You know, if I
people
wanted to
whose
go and
opinions matter who are
um,
talking.
I don't know, if I
Uh,
want to go and
so,
have an opinion about a
yeah,
nice
yeah,
car, I'll go somebody who rides that car every day, right? And I'm going to go somebody who lives that car every day, who built that car, right?
yeah,
I'm not going to go to someone
yeah,
who's just
yeah,
ridden once in a car and thinks
yeah,
he's an expert or she's an expert, right? So, but anyways, I think we're
yeah,
digressing. But you know, it's important
yeah,
because you are you are in a
absolutely.
powerful position to air all these things.
No, no, no,
So it
not
needs
at
to
all.
be.
No, and that's why, I've been asked many times to do restaurant reviews, and that's something consciously I've stayed away from because, again, probably because I've worked in hospitality, so I know it's just
Yeah.
so insensitive to go and do a review of a restaurant based on one meal. So I don't do that. Uh, so I totally understand what you mean, and I
But I have to
make
comment
sure that I
your
stay away from
posts and
things
your
like that.
stories are
But
really
thank
very
you
very
again
positive.
so much,
You know,
Chef.
they're very informative. There's real content in there. So hats off to the work that you're doing, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for doing this live show. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you know. I mean, your pleasure. It was pleasure
Thank
talking
you,
to
Chef.
you.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure, and I hope we can do this again at a time when more
Yeah.
people can join us. I think